Before we get to the next lesson, try this warm-up question on your own. Bob got another job at an electronics store. His weekly earnings are E equals 450 plus 0.15x, where E represents the weekly earnings and X represents the weekly sales. So there's two parts to this. What do the different parts of the equation mean? And how much money will he make if he sells $10,000 worth of merchandise? Pause the video, try it, and see how you do. So the different parts of the equation, you have this 450, and then you have the second part, 0.15x. So what do they mean? Well, the context is earnings. This is how he gets paid. So he gets paid $450, and then on top of that, he gets added on 0.15 times his sales. So we can think of this as that's his salary. He automatically gets $450 per week. And this second part, we can think of that as his commission. He earns 15% of his sales. Okay, so with all that, we can figure this out. How much money will he make if he sells $10,000 worth of merchandise? Okay, so what are we trying to find? How much money will he make? Okay, which variable is that? That's his earnings. How much money he makes, that's his earnings. So we're trying to find earnings. That means this is his sales. So we can substitute 10,000 in for his sales. Now we just do the math, and we get an answer of $1,950. That's how much money he will make if he sells $10,000 worth of merchandise. So let's move on to the lesson for this video. We're going to talk about equations and graphs. So the main idea in this lesson is going to be, how do you make a graph from an equation? Now we've done this before where we used our equation to make a table of values and then our table of values to make the graph. But in this lesson we're going to look at how do you go directly from an equation to a graph. So here's the first example. The number of cans in a can pyramid is given by this equation, and we're going to graph the relationship. So just so you can visualize this, a can pyramid would be you have a bunch of cans side by side, and then you're stacking a bunch of cans on top of those to make a pyramid, okay? So you'll have a pyramid made of cans. So in order to make a graph, we have to first figure out what our variables are. So we have C and N. C would be the number of cans, but what's N? Well, N is going to be the number of rows. So 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, etc. And if you recall from a previous lesson, we looked at the format for writing an equation was like this, where we had y equals mx plus b. So b was the initial value, m was the slope, and then we have our two variables, the one that goes on the x-axis and the one that goes on the y-axis, our independent variable and our dependent variable. So we can really just line these up and figure out what part is what on our graph. So the y-axis will have the variable c on it, and the x-axis will have the variable n. Now I'm going to update my graph with an appropriate scale on each axis. Now I mentioned we can go directly from an equation to the graph. We don't have to make a table of values. And in order to do this, there's some key pieces of information that you have to remember. We need to remember that the number in front of our x variable is our rate of change, and the number at the end of the equation all by itself, the constant, is our initial value. So if we put that on this equation that we're given, this is our rate of change. This is our initial value. Because I know my initial value is 20, I can put that on the graph. Now, the rate of change is 4. So what does that mean for this graph? Well, it means every time I increase my independent variable by 1 unit, I'm going to increase my dependent variable by 4. So you can think of it as this is the number of cans per row that it's increasing by. So if I increase n by 1, I'm over here, but I increase c by 4. That brings me up here. And since the rate of change keeps the same, I can go over 1 up 4 again. And I can just keep that pattern going. And once I've drawn a bunch of dots on my scatter plot, I can draw my line of best fit. Now, because I know this line could keep going on and on and on forever, I'm going to draw an arrow on the top of it. That's just proper communication to show that the line keeps going. And there you have it. We started with an equation and we made a graph. So you have to remember how to find the rate of change and the initial value in your equation. If you know those two things, you can plot points and then draw a line through your points. So here's a second example. The height of a paper airplane after t seconds is given by this equation. H equals 2.5 minus 0.3 t. And we're going to graph the relationship. So we're going to follow the same steps as the previous example. We're going to figure out which of our variables is the independent, which of the variables is the dependent, make a proper scale on both axes, find the initial value, and use the rate of change to plot other points on the graph. So you should try it on your own after you pause the video, and then I'll show you my solution. I found my initial value, that's my constant, and my rate of change is the coefficient in front of my variable. So in this case, I'm starting at 2.5, and I'm decreasing by 0.3 every time I increase t by 1. So if I increase t by 1, I go down 0.3 units. Increase by 1, go down 0.3 units. And I just continue the pattern until I have enough points that I can draw a nice line through them, and I end by putting an arrow to indicate that this line will keep going. Example 3, Roberta runs a business making plastic jewelry. So this time I'm giving you the graph. We're going to read the graph to answer some questions, and then we're going to make the equation. So we're kind of working backwards from what we have been doing so far. So the first question, how many pieces can she make for $250? So when the cost is $250, we just go over and look down to see how many pieces that would be. So we can see she can make 1,000 pieces for $250. Okay, the next question, what are her fixed costs? So what does that mean? Well, that's referring to the initial value. A fixed cost is the starting cost. So here our fixed cost is $100. What's the rate of change? Well, we've done this before. Find 2 points on the line and then find the rise over run. So here are my 2 points. My rise, well, I'm starting at 100, I'm ending at $250. So I can update my equation for rate of change. I know the rise is $250. Now I just need the run. So if I'm looking at the run, I'm starting at 0 pieces and I'm ending at 1,000 pieces. So the change is 1,000. And now I can just do my calculation. 250 divided by 1,000. That gives me a rate of change of $0.25 or 25 cents per piece. Okay, so now I can come up with an equation. So just remember, an equation will take this form, y equals mx plus b. So y and x are the variables, m and b are the rate of change and the initial value. So my variables are number of pieces and the cost. Number of pieces is on the x-axis, cost is on the y-axis. I'm going to use the variables n for number of pieces and c for the cost. So instead of y, I have c. Instead of x, I have n. M represents the rate of change. Well, I have it here. It's 0.25. And b is the initial value. Well, I already figured that out. It's $100. So my equation is c equals 0.25n plus 100. My next example, Bob's hot air balloon is losing altitude. Oh no, so we have the height of the hot air balloon over time in minutes. So he's starting at a height of 650 meters, and his height is slowly decreasing over time. So we're going to find an equation, and we're going to predict when the balloon will land. I'm going to use the variables h and t to represent my height and my time. So my initial value is 650 meters, but what's my rate of change? Well, I have to figure that out. So we find 2 points on the line. We find the rise and the run between those 2 points. So to calculate my rate of change, I have my rise on the top. Well, I'm going down 200 meters. And my run, well, I'm increasing 10 minutes. So rise over run, negative 200 over 10. I'll do the math. Bob's losing altitude at 20 meters per minute. Okay, so I've got my variables, I've got my initial value, and I have my rate of change. So I can fill in all of the missing pieces to make my equation. Height is equal to minus 20t plus 650. So when we're asked to predict when the balloon will land, well, we have to think about what variable are we asked to find. It says predict when the balloon will land. So when refers to time. We're trying to solve for time. That means we need to have a value for height. Well, when it lands, what's its height? It's on the ground, so the height will be 0. So we're just replacing h with 0. Now I have an equation, and I can use my algebra to solve. So I'm just trying to isolate t. I took this minus 20t and I moved it to the other side. Now it's positive 20t equals 650. To get t isolated, I have to divide both sides by 20. And I'm left with t on the left. And when I do 650 divided by 20, I get an answer of 32.5. So I can make my conclusion, Bob will land in 32.5 minutes. So I have a link to a handout for you to work on for practice questions. Things you need to be able to do are, when you're given an equation, you need to be able to make a graph. And when you're given a graph, you need to be able to make an equation. And just as before, you need to be able to use an equation to answer problems by plugging in numbers and solving. If you have questions or you need help, just let me know and I'll do my best to help.